Hi guys! So for this week's video, I have, I guess, a different kind of video for you. It's just me recommending some books for you that you might be interested in reading, and they're specifically fantasy based and even more specifically about witches. If you're like me, I'm like addicted to things that have to do with witches, especially books. So I just have a few books that might tickle your fancy and you might want to read. Yeah, I just have 4 books for now, but trust me, I could recommend probably a lot more. So the first book that I have is The Witching Hour, and it's by Anne Rice. And the thing is that Anne Rice, besides being a writer of vampires, she does write about this family of witches called the Mayfair Witches, and I love that part of her. I love the Mayfair Witches just as much as I love the vampires, and I would recommend reading that because it's really good. It's several books. I think it's 4. It deals with a family of witches in the South, and you get to see their different generations that live in their ancestral home, and the different problems that some of them have. Like, there's a curse on the family. There's a race of, I don't even know what it's called. It's like Tautos is like a race of I don't know if you would call it a creature, a supernatural being that ends up being part of their family. It's awesome. It's so good. And you do have Lestat also featured in the books and stuff. So you do have some other characters from the vampire books that do intersect with these with the Mayfair Witches, and it's so good. Next one I have is The Winter Witch. I took the jacket off, so it just looks great. And The Winter Witch is a fiction book. The Winter Witch by Paula Brackston. And it deals with a witch named Morgana. And she's born mute. She doesn't speak. It's about a young girl just being married off in a foreign place, not being able to speak with everyone else, and having to deal with people not understanding her true nature, and someone trying to take advantage of her and use it to their evil benefits because they want the ancestral home that she's living in that belongs to her husband, because there is a rumor that something is contained in the house that could be used to the benefit of people. Yeah. So the next book I have is A Discovery of Witches by Deborah Harkness, or Deborah Harkness. I've mentioned this book before. It's about a scholar, Diana Bishop, who is a descendant. She's a witch. She descends from different witches. She descends from witches, and she chooses not to use her magic because she would rather focus on the science aspect of the world rather than the magical aspect. She doesn't like to use that part of herself, so she keeps that kind of hidden away, locked away. She doesn't but her powers start manifesting themselves, kind of breaking free of the chain that she puts them in, especially when she gets her hands on an chemical manuscript. And once she gets her hands on that by pure accident, because she studies manuscripts, things start going south. She meets a vampire who she isn't sure if he's up to good or bad, what he wants from her. His name is Matthew Claremont. Then you see other supernatural beings, other witches, demons, and the like come out because they want the manuscript that she got her hands on, but that she no longer has anymore. And they think that she's the one that is hiding it, and that it could provide something big for everyone. Yeah, so it's just kind of like a self-discovery kind of book of her trying to come to terms with what she is, even though she's always known, but she doesn't like tapping into that part of herself, so she has to face that part of herself. Plus, she's also dealing with people coming after her because they think she has something, and especially spending a lot of time with this vampire. Yeah, it's a really good book. It's a fiction book, and there is a second book to this. There's only 2 so far. Yeah. The next book I have is The Witch's Daughter by Paula Brackston, the same one they wrote the Winter Witch. And I think this is a really good book. It's a fiction book, and the main character is Elizabeth, and she's retelling the story of her life from having her mother be killed during the witch trial, like, pandemic that there was, to involving herself with this dark, mysterious, dangerous man who saved her at that point when she was younger after her mother died, and then having to run away from him and spending centuries hiding, trying to escape his grasp because he wants to claim her as its own. And so her story is just a story about survival, of trying to get free, and she's recounting it to a girl that she meets in a village. She's a teenage girl, Tegan, and she just happens to meet her by accident. The girl is around her house one day when she's outside, and they form a bond, they form a friendship. She even teaches her along the way how to use magic and stuff like that. So yeah, she's telling the girl her story as well as recounting it for us. So it's really good. It's different, but it's really good. Okay, so those are all the books that I have to recommend for you right now that deal with fiction and witches specifically. So if you have any other recommendations, any other books that deal with witches that you think I should read, leave them below, and I will see you guys next week for a new video. Bye!